You hear me?
All right.
Can you
No,
hear?
not
I hope
yet.
you're hearing
Just keep
me.
talking.
Um, Welcome to the Heru show, and I hope you're hearing me out there. I was having some teething problems as usual. That's why I'm not late. I've been here for a while, but we're kind of having some issues with the equipment at the moment. My Wi-Fi, I think, but hopefully you can hear me. Um, I don't know if you can hear me, but management's going to call me in a minute and tell me if I'm broadcasting. So just give me a few minutes. I will, right, Bertrack. Thank you, Bertrack. Just had a link from one of the listeners. Heru, we can hear you. Thank you, Bertrack. Thanks for that. Um, Mr. Lacey, what are you saying? Can you hear me? Uh, yeah, one sec. Yep, you can hear me,
Yeah,
yeah?
man, loud and clear. Can hear you loud and clear, yeah?
Respect. Thank you.
All right, but also check your WhatsApps because people will be sending you message through that as well, yeah?
I've checked it. I'm on it.
All right,
Okay,
nice one, yeah?
cool.
Yeah, cool.
Right. Okay, now that I've got confirmation that I'm broadcasting, let's continue. Now, I would really want to just do some real heart searching and see whether we understand vibes, what's happening today. Are we just playing it by ear? Are we tuned into reality? Whatever reality is, or whatever version of reality you adhere to. And of course, it's all to do with how long we've been on Earth. How long have we as a community been functioning? And, you know, it seems a long, long ways away that we were once the top dog, so to speak. And everything, will speak against that in our situation today, our position today, wouldn't really reflect such an idea. Can a people who were so great, who brought civilization to the world, can be so low? Isn't that weird? Is that funny? But in overall understanding, we try to get a full understanding, so we can partake in all the people's activity that there is. You know, law, marriage, love, politics, all of the people's activities that we partake consciously or subconsciously. I don't suppose there's ever been a platform. You know, you got your LBC, and you got tons of people phone in, and stuff like that, giving their opinions on what's happening today in the world, and do we fully understand it? So I want to explore that, see how much we as a community really understands what's happening today. You know, at the top of the food chain is the war in the Middle East, although there's no Middle West or Middle North, and sometimes we have terms that are not even recognized by us, but we use them, and the reality of the term is not really apparent, because this Middle East thing is a classical example. We're in the Middle East, so where's the Middle West, Middle North, Middle South, and everything like that? To confirm such a thing, the mic is a bit low. Let me see if I can get a bit more out the mic. That's full up there. Oh. One sec. How about that? Is that any better? Okay. Loud and clear. I don't know if that mic's made an adjustment. Don't worry, I'll soon get used to this equipment thing, you know. I'm not really savvy on these little button things, you know. I'm I'm proper old school. I'm a dinosaur when it comes down to gadgetries and stuff like that. But as it goes, we have to get used to it because it's what is today. So, and all the presenters, let me rise up management. And the presenters, technician that goes in to make up the formidable team that we have down here in the ECR neck of the woods. So I'm hoping. Oh, boom! Yeah, I'm locked into the ECR DJs page. So if you can let me know if I need to make any more adjustments. And so we're gonna explore if we have a fuller understanding of the events that are happening today. And the greatest event right now is the war in the Middle East and the antics of President Trump. And so I said it before yesterday on my show that even though he might seem a bit, out of his mind, at least one thing is apparent. We don't have any notions or any dis-ease that's happening, such as monkeypox or any other kind of disease that we have to get vaccinated. Because he wasn't a man for vaccination. That's one thing I like about Trump. He tore his mask off and he told us to go back to work, and even told us to drink bleach at one point. But at least we're not locked down. This is the good thing about it. And they can't bring that issue up to Trump because Trump ain't having it. He's a businessman and he prefers to be in business and stuff like that rather than having us locked down. And Tim, you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for the studio number. Is it right here? One sec. Yeah, I do have the phone lines. Let me give it out the phone line numbers now so you can have it. Right, the phone line number is 07826 115543, and I repeat 07826 115543. That will take you into the studios, and if you have anything to interject and to say, it will be welcomed. Because we want to know that we're on the same page, singing from the same hymn book and stuff like that. When we come to things like politics, because that's what is running the ship today, I think we are more of a theocratical people. The Caucasoid is more technical, and he loves all these gadgets and take our minds away from the real intelligence that runs our physiology, as I said yesterday, and runs the universe, runs the multiverse. So that's not what is running the world today. Unfortunately, it's not. Theocratical governments don't run the world anymore. I'm saying that, but you do have, in some countries, you have theocratical governments like Islam. Used to be Christian in England and America. They're no longer. They've abandoned the idea of a theocratical government to a more secular government runs the world today. So when we look where we are and the next generation that's moved in place, we have to really ask the $1 million question. What have we learned so far? Do we understand what's going on in the world and the things that confront us? Does the war in Iran really affect us? Have you felt the effect of the war? I know people talking about it's going to be high prices for, energy. You've got to pay an arm and a leg to keep the house warm. Imagine that in this big 21st century, we're still grappling to keep the place warm. What does that say to you? If in this big 21st century, we're still having to, pinch our way through life, while the affluence of the top dogs that have the best of everything, they're not grappling with nothing. So that would go against our understanding of theocratical governments and being fair and just, which is not happening to us at the moment. So if we look at, for instance, the actual war, now, to my mind, who started the war is very relevant. It wasn't, and see if I get this right, but it wasn't Iran that started the war. And since it wasn't Iran that started the war, it was this little warmonger, which I call the son of Satan, and nephew of Beelzebub, Netanyahu. If you look at him, he looks like a demon. I don't know if you get the same feeling as I do. Whenever I look at Netanyahu, he looks like a devil. He looks like Satan himself. I don't know if you feel the same way as I do. But whenever I view him, he reminds me of a devil. And yet, in all of our senses and our common sense appeals to us, we have to think contrary. I don't know why that is. And every time we talk about these chosen people of God, which are, to me, are just I call it Zionists, and they're actually not even from the Middle East, or the Middle West, or wherever you want to call it. They're actually Russian converts that I've not recently, but I've been studying for a little while, and they are converts of Judaism. They're not, I'm not want to get the station shut down by speaking. They might say, you're being anti-Semitic. Well, how can I be anti-Semitic when the people I'm referring to are not even Semites? So where can I be how can I be? And I don't want to sound anti-Semitic, but I'm trying to make sense of all this happening here and the righteousness that's supposed to be in these people, if they are the chosen people. And some people would say, yes, they are the chosen people. Then, if they are the chosen people, why do they choose war? Are we to sit back and accept this as a fact of life, that God is a warmonger? Because if the people that are supposed to be of God are willing to go to war, willing to kill, how many people died in Palestine? Thousands of innocent men, women, and children. And how do you make sense of that? What can you say? And for me, I don't hear the charismatic, Holy Ghost filled, foot stomping, Kinpupalik church coming out against and saying, in the interest of righteousness, say, to condemn the actions of this individual and this bunch of hordes of devils, I call them. Always killing, willing to kill, willing to do all of these things in the name of their God. And this is one thing that gets me. How are we to understand? What are we to think? How are we not thinking? Because we can't understand how these things work. And this is what we have to try and level out. We should have an opinion. Of course we should. Are we afraid to voice our opinion? Is it that we are afraid to lose our jobs, lose our house, or lose something, and that will never cause us to tell the truth, but to succumb to the pressure coming from the top people that run society? And that goes against me as well, because I'm saying that it's God-run society. But I'm sick. You're live on ECR. Go ahead.
Oh, hello. I'm Bertrand.
Hi, Bertrack. Nice to hear from you.
Oh, line. I think I'm trying to thing. If
Yeah.
it's feeding back, yeah. I think
No, it's all right.
people
There's
can.
a little crackle on the line at the moment, but
Yeah,
go
but
ahead. We can,
that's okay.
yeah, we
That's
can
all
still
right.
hear.
That's
Yeah.
all right. As long as I can. Yeah.
Mm.
Now, I have a very bad cold, so sorry.
Mm.
But the introduction I will give
Mm.
is that at this moment in time, the war has spilled out. You saw the riots in Ireland
Mm.
right now because of fuel costs,
Mm.
costs of living. Yeah.
Mm.
And the people have had enough. They are saying now that they want to bring the military and probably, if I'm also the military, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is this not called the Irish Army. It's not called the British it's called the British, but the Irish Army Regiment.
Mm.
Yeah, and basically, and they will probably,
Mm-hmm.
if there was Irish pirate stations or sorry, community stations.
Mm.
Sorry. If there's, yeah, community stations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like black community that talks about this kind of things that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
Irish community station and good Irish people, yeah, they would probably say that they're going to bring the masked paramilitaries,
Yeah.
yeah. If you don't agree with them, they'll shoot you in the knee, you
Mm.
know, and innocent Irish people, the paramilitaries like
Mm-hmm.
this. I don't know if they have it in Northern Ireland still, but
Mm.
but what I'm saying is that it's toppled over,
Mm.
all over because of one Trump, yeah. And you might say, he doesn't like the lockdown and thing, but I bet you he will be for it because a lot of these politicians, except for now Putin,
Mm.
who speaks street language, except for Obama, he tried, but he failed.
Mm.
For the black people, he failed. He tried, but he failed, and he had to talk some more. But he said, "You feel me?" and tried. Tried his hardest. But
Mm.
unfortunately, if he would have done things for the black community and thingy, they would have actually did something to him.
Mm.
And now, what I hear, alleged, if I hear this right, that some of the admiral, when Trump said that he wants to blow Iran to Stonehenge,
Mm-hmm.
massive, massive, massive. This means atomic bomb. It means he could get his admirals to use every kind of weaponry that you can think of. And if that happens, and that is why, if I heard this right, some of the admirals did not agree with Trump or some of the people that was controlling
Mm.
this technology. Because if you do that, do you know what will happen then?
Mm.
Yeah, there's a vast stance in war. War has rules. And if you did that, there will be like Belgium. What's it? Any other countries? Name me all the countries that have power. Germany doesn't have an army, but they got weaponry power.
Mm.
Yeah, there will be every kind. The Caribbean nations will be involved. Jamaica. You don't think that they have tank and they have cut some. They haven't got a huge army, but every kind of nation, yeah,
Mm.
that England will be involved. No one, even England, who's America, and sometimes they make weapons for each other.
Mm-hmm.
England will not look back at them. Israel will they will turn their back on them. And like Martin Luther King said, he said that if they put America in a nation that does not know my name,
Mm.
what do you think that nation is? Yeah, Russia.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's a bigger, badder man. You got China, you got
Mm.
everything that's involved. And then let me tell you this: when they go inside America, all the women, the children, Yeah, all these art first battalion, they will start to go out with go as you know how do you say in a nicer way, screw them. Yeah, and then you will have when the American ladies, it's not like in films where they can defend themselves or that film, yeah, where the ladies kick four ladies kick them out. No, it's not going to be like that because the army are more stronger, more robust. They will come in, and you will have names like Kong and Hong and what's it? You know, you will have names like uh German names are Ardener, and they'll be having a good time with your missus and thingy, and they will make you watch. So, do you know that what Trump has done? Somebody needs to tell him this. Somebody needs to tell him this. Not even Mexico. I don't believe they like America. None of the nations don't like America. Yeah, much.
Yeah, but Bertrand,
No.
let me ask that question. Do you think he's bluffing when he said he was gonna?
Well,
He said he's
he's
gonna
he
kill a whole
no.
nation, a whole entire civilization. That's his words. I'm going to destroy. Now, from a man can say that, you know. I mean, anybody can say anything, yeah. But do you
Yeah,
think?
of course he's
Do
bluffing. Of
you
course.
reckon he's
I
bluffing?
mean, but
Yeah.
but with this madman, you don't know. But if obviously some other people, but if he does it again, and this is again and again and again, there's like how do you say in baseball there are three strikes and you're out. Well, if he says it several times and he has threatened to do this kind of thing, you will then see a removal of him. Yeah, and a removal of him, and and the removal. But I bet you some of the administration, not all of them, I bet you some of the administration must have took him inside and showed him a big bullet that they took out Martin Luther King, you know, or the CIA. I bet you they showed him a big bullet and say to him, "You keep doing this. We've got no choice." As a CIA, they say we've got no choice, but we have to bring you down. Yeah, and the same thing. So there is a stance that you can't just bite everybody. Bite everybody. They say. But talking about this now, yeah. Also, away from this, I've got information. Now, our country, Turkey, not Turkey no more, but they might even change the name, has qualified for the World Cup. Yeah, beat Kosovo. Now, the World Cup is going to be in America. The ticket prices are insanely mental. I'm talking about some thousand, if I heard this right, 1,000, more than 1,000. What are people going? Why are people driving them? You got your plane costs. You got, you know, there's no seem to be no discount at all. You got to learn, but they won't give you the. It says you either pay or you don't go in. Yeah, and FIFA, in a way, and people, they should say, hold on a minute. Yeah, there are people that wants to watch the world. Look, yeah. Also, I was very upset with the Jamaican Federation as well. I'm intertwined with all this. They lost the Democratic Republic of Congo, but they said that there was a handball, yeah, hitting the hand, yeah, into the goal. However, they have no power. They try to appeal and this and that, but not the Prime Minister, not the Jamaican people, not the Federation, and now Jamaica becoming the football industry. They weren't that good, yeah. But honestly, I have to say that how can a president or a prime minister or a federation they could say, hold on a minute, yeah, it don't care what the West say. we're going to remove this coach. If he's not successful, bring somebody that knows the team. Bring somebody that would get on. The players don't get on with each other. Allegedly, if I heard this right. Yeah. But also there are something else that I would say, but I don't want to say it because the football will be ruined and I could be arrested and the station can be taken down. So instead of that, I would just tell you off air rather than that. But apart from that, yeah, going back again, another paragraph going back. Have you noticed the fuel prices have rocketed? The
Well,
things have
I
rocketed.
personally don't drive, so I wouldn't really know that. But maybe fuel in terms of like for gas and electric, I haven't even noticed that neither. This is what I'm saying. How is it affecting us today? I mean, people like me and you, as I said, they say it's going to affect us in terms of our ability to heat our homes. We won't be able to do that, but that's what they say.
Okay, Del, if people are going to university, young youths, yeah, and what happens is they have to pay the tuition fees. In Turkish, it's called the burs. Burs is tuition fees. You have to pay that. And then, if you qualify the courses that you're taking, let's say you want to be a teacher or you want to be a head teacher or you want to be getting a great job, yeah, and you pay that, yeah, on top of that, you study, do the exams, go to the university, you have to pay for that as well, and then pay over the top. And then, for example, how are you you're gonna indept yourself to the system because you're gonna try again and try again and try, and with whole of your job, yeah. For example, let's say you got a grandson, and your grandson has a house. You have to pay the mortgage of it. Yeah. So with all that, if your grandson can't pay the house, he's gonna be out on the street.
Yeah, but Bertrand, that's just the system. That's what we brought
all the debt.
Yeah, we brought
How are you going to do with all that debt?
Yeah, but we're brought up with that. We grow into that. I take it you grew up in this country, yeah?
I have been. I only lived in Turkey when I was 82. I was born in 82. My brother was born in 80. They call him the martial law boy, the coup boy. Yeah, I was born after the two. And then in 86, 85, I came to this country. Yeah, with my father. My sister weren't born at the time, but she was born here. But now they call me a British Turkish. But I'm saying this speaking in behalf of the Turkish community, that they've got a lot of issues like this, where this is my own backyard now with Robert. I'm trying to think, and there are people you don't know who's who. Yeah, some are from that party, like Willie Williams said, and some are from this party. Yeah, you don't know who's who. There was a song, yeah, a unification of but some are from this party, some are from that party, some don't agree, some agree with our president, some don't. You have to choose who's who, yeah, and there's no radio stations out there that would talk like this level, because either someone's going to say X, Y, and Z to all this country's people, and someone's going to say swear, and then that station's going to be taken down, yeah, because they will swear at one nation, the other person will swear. So in fact, I've chosen the nearest common denominator, and I'm an outsider. Yeah, I don't know what the black, but as a Turkish person, And remember, I'm going to write not in, if I do put this up into YouTube, I'm going to write not all black people think, because they say from black African people, like, not all black African people think like you. Not all Turkish people think like me. Yeah. And this is why that I have got to talk out today. But think about this. If you in-depth yourself to the system, whether your grandson, or if he's, let's say he's married to someone that's a Turkish lady, and then they in-depth themselves to the system because they can't pay for their son's thing. What do you think would happen? I
Well,
mean, I'm just saying this to every single community out here, that if they do, then look at the churches. Look at some of the mosques. Yeah, they say, "Oh, donate to this, donate," and we don't know what it goes to. We don't know if it goes to the corrupt people's hand, or they say, "Oh, we have got a London charity. Donate to this. This is going to go to the young people that is in depth, or we're going to have all gone." But it's just like, there's some con men,
yeah. Okay,
and
Bertrand.
yeah.
We do appreciate you expressing yourself like that. So, as far as you're concerned, it's a bluff as well. And where do you think we're going
Yeah.
with all of this? What's going to happen at the end of the day? We don't really know. Will Trump carry out his threat?
We'll just wait for what happens,
just
and
wait and
especially
see.
the
Yeah.
island, and especially some of these con men as well. If
Yeah.
there was a solution, I would get rid of these people that's conning.
Okay.
But all right, I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
I'll
free to
text
call
if
back.
I-
Yeah, you're free to call back if you like for the end of
All
the
right,
show.
then I'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you
Peace,
very
I'm
much,
out.
Bertrand. Yeah. Right, that was Bertrand expressing himself there. And the numbers are, if you want to contribute, 07826 115543. And I repeat, 07826 1155 and 43. So what have we got here? What have we got to put up with? A government that's threatening to totally annihilate, and use the words, I'm going to annihilate a whole civilization and thing like that. And that's going to be a hard task, if you ask me. So what are you going to be charged with? Genocide and murder, right? Or is there any rules or anything that we have to follow? But they've got nothing coming from the black community, the Caribbeans, or the Africans, whether in support or have any insight into what's going on and how we're going to manage ourselves during these times. So we look back and see certain things. We look at our youth and we think, what are the youth really thinking about this? And to me, it's a classical case of the blind leading the blind, because when the youths look back and see big men, big people acting like with wars and guns, and if they go out and stab anyone or shoot anyone, they're going to go jailed straight away. And yet, you've got these big grown-ass men going around killing with impunity. What does it say to the youth? And how we just got to hope that the way that we brought them up will suffice, and to help them have a stable thinking, stable mind, or they're just going to capitulate to becoming just like the people in government. If they can kill, we can kill too. And that's the subconsciousness, I think, that most of our children are feeling today. When we look at these things, and we can't do much about what's going on. This is the thing. So how come we are handicapped while these people play with our lives? And, when we look at how we brought our children up, I don't know about this generation, but my parents brought me up with hard licks and things. And it said that, and you know what they turned around and said it was? Child abuse. So we begin to look at ourselves as being abused by our parents. And I'm thinking, well, if we got that kind of mindset where we look at our upbringing as an abuse, then we're not going to bring up our children in the same way. And I don't know whether it's because we don't bring our children up now. Those that had hard knocks, I mean, myself, my mother was very physical with us. Not even my dad, you know. So it's not really the men them that are physical, you know, with the children. It's the women. My mum was, you know, although there was 8 of us, so I can understand the stress that she was going through. I understood as a young man to know that my mum was going through proper stress. 8 of us during the 60s, although I think it was much easier in the 60s to get through life than it is now. I think our children today are forced to grow up pretty quick. And well, that was the case in the Caribbean anyway, because when I went to Jamaica for the first time since I came, I thought the youths were really grown up. They were like big men, little big people, you know, and there wasn't a trace of childhood in them. They had to get with the reality straight away. But in a country like this, where we got everything, we're supposed to have everything, and we brought our children up in a way that we know, but many of us are not bringing our children up like how our parents brought us up. They refuse. I haven't beaten any of my children, although I used to get beaten still, proper beaten still. But I just can't bring myself around to hit my child, you know? And so maybe that's where we lose out, you know, because it might be that spare the rod and spoil the child. And if you do that today, if you do discipline your children in a way that you were disciplined, it will go down as child abuse and you can get yourself in big trouble. So when that's not administered and they take upon themselves the blame game, because I don't know, I feel sometimes children are playing the blame game. They will blame you. What have you done for us? And what have you done, you know, what you're doing for us in the future? And it seems like the blame game, to me, it's been played. Because I don't, some of the times the children come to you and say, well, you know, you lot didn't do anything, and rare. And what can you say? But when we tell them that you have to wait 1 year to make 40 G's, and they look at you and say, well, I can make 40 G's in overnight. And what's the logic behind me waiting 1 year to make 40 G's when I can do that and selling drugs and doing all sorts of things and robbing and stealing? Why should I wait 1 year? You look back and think there is logics behind that. But when we try to teach them and tell them that at least if you wait for a year, you retain your sanity and you retain your dignity and pride. Easy come, easy go. But it seems that the children don't understand that level. And there's many of them growing up now without any restraint, without drawing any lines in the sand, and they just go ahead and do what they've got to do. But the question is that they are equipped to handle life like how we were equipped when we took over from our parents, and when we saw things differently from our parents. You could say that we were ready. So I don't know if this generation of children are ready to handle what the society is handing down to them. And I often feel very sorry for them in the midst of everything, that they are not able to see a future. I don't blame the children. I don't blame the young folks for what they got to deal with. I feel sorry for them because what they got to handle. Do they see a future? No. But back in the day, there were apprenticeships, although there are some apprenticeships now, but the emphasis is not on the apprenticeships and stuff. We used to get £7 for apprenticeship. Yeah, £7 a week. And I'm thinking, well, £7 a week was able to do what we wanted to do. You know, we have to look at that fact as well. Money, economics has changed. So now the children are earning 40 grand, 50 grand, and we had to struggle to earn that. If we were earning that kind of money, you'd know you're in a top job back in the day. But now the starting wages for children are 50 G's, 60 grand, you know, and that they start very high. And so with society, whether they should trust society or they've got no choice whether to trust society, because society is gauging them to become technocrats and to become entrepreneurs. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not fighting that down. It's good if you can have your own business and don't have to work for anyone. You've got people working for you. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But at the same time, where is it really going? End of the day, when you retire, would you have achieved your goal, your ends, and then would your children will follow you in the same vein? But for the children of today, I think there's a huge gap in visualizing themselves as having a future. It's really bad because in some places, which they even call them ghetto. You've got ghettos in England where we got all the gang violences and all them thing, and gang trap houses, and because the price of a trainer nowadays is 10 times more than shoes. So, they're selling, in top of all of this, I find society still selling these clothes to these children, and they don't really care. Right? The movers and shakers of societies, I can't see anywhere that they care really about what's really going on in the homes, fatherless homes, the breakup of marriages and all that, and broken homes. And the children now, I don't think the children eat around the same table anymore. I remember back in the day, we used to eat around the same table on a Sunday. Yep, we had Jell-O, fruit salad, a big chicken, everything was overlaid. I don't know if children today have experienced anything like that. They're more likely hanging about the chicken shops. And one person said to me, a lot of fights and stabbings happen around chicken shops. And it's all about chicken this and chicken. They even begin to look like chicken, oversized children. You know what I mean? It's like the vitamins that they get from these chickens, which probably been around for a hell of a long time, no nutrients, and they don't look about themselves vitamin and nutritious foods that help their minds to grow. I don't think they even got that going on. I think they live on chicken 24/7. Yeah, because the chicken is the next food that's quite cheap, and the mothers, them, because they haven't got any money more than so, gravitate around that and just give them chicken for dinner. Just fling a chicken box down, and that's it. And we don't even know how much that's contributing to the emotional feelings and the mindset of our youths today. So we're struggling that way, and I know that there are people in the community that do try to get children to eat healthier, to live a healthy life, get more sleep, and not too much drugs and all that. But can we stop that? No. So it's a double whammy. While they're giving us a 6 for a 9 when it comes down to our upbringing of our children, they're out there waging war. It's a grim situation. Who has the answer? I wonder who has the answer. And it's more or less when we retire, when my age group reach that retirement age and look back, we can only hope that we have contributed enough for our children to be able to go the right way and to do the right thing. So let me give the numbers again. If you want to interact, the numbers are 07826 115543. And I repeat, 07826 115543. It takes you into the studio. And as time goes on, we can only hope that what we impart to our children, as I said before, maybe not the same way as our parents before us impart to us, we have an umbrage with the way that we were brought up. And it's a shame. And I hear a lot of people say, I ain't going to bring my children up like how my mum brought me up, or my mum and dad brought me up, or the way I was brought up. I'm never going to do that with my child. And is that possible that that's where we lose out? We're not able to bring up our children according to morality, righteousness, you know what I mean? Respect, manners, and all them things. The way I hear some young people talk to their elders, it's shocking. They would bring violence to their elders. Back in the day, we would never dream of doing something like maybe one. I know one or two would, because I'm not saying all parents are fantastic and great. There are abusers, parents that do abuse their children, and stuff like that. I do realize that. I'm not saying that there isn't any. There is, and children have to go through something like that. And I wonder where the answer lies in all of this, you know, and how much input as the divine intelligence then have in all of this. You see, because in some organizations that I know, when you ask the question, why am I getting this like this, in this way? You have to look to the spiritual realms and think about some of the things. But I know that in this society, if we were to mention, because it's not just physical, you know, it's not just a physical thing. There's more than that. If you look in an answer, and if you've been studying and trying to and want to help your child to understand life more, the first thing you've got to really tell them is about their true self, who they really are. And it's difficult nowadays because it's really slow, and it's not, you know, they need to live fast, move fast, quick, you know what I mean? And you can only hope that the seeds that you sow will fall on fallow ground, that will take root and stuff and become a tree in their lives. I don't know how many young people can look to their parents and say, my parents has brought me up in this way. Thank God for my parents. They taught me this and they taught me that. It would be nice if we can get some young folks in and telling us what they really feel that they've learnt from their parents in their full understanding of society, understanding wars, understanding governments, understanding situations, why we're in this way and how to get out of it. You understand? I mean, really, I mean, if Trump carried out his threat and to say he's going to completely obliterate civilization, and he did that, then what would be the consequences back on us? And what's going to be the consequences in the future right now? And if they don't come to an agreement and the war continues in the Middle East, and Iran, according to what they say about Iran, and it's got its whole heap of arsenal there ready to also disseminate. Yeah, and then will bring the world to war. Now, World War One and Two. Have you ever really thought about World War One and Two? Why did it happen? You know, and sometimes when we can overlook the reality of the situation, you know. World War One, and why is it called World War? You see, was the world at war? You know, was everyone fighting each other, or was it just a one particular people that called it World War? See, these people that control our thinking and manipulate our ideologies and our thoughts to believe Hitler was a bad man. Yes, he was a bad man. He killed men. But what about American Indians? Who killed them? You know, how do they view life now? You know, they used to live in America at one point, but happy on their hunting grounds, living life as good as they knew. All of a sudden, this individuals and their criminals that were sent to America, all of a sudden decided that they want to control and manipulate this land, and they murdered. So where does that happen? How does that happen? That's why I always says, and on my spiritual show, you'd see, I've always said that we weren't the one that go around. There's no blood on our hands, really and truly. There's no blood, but there's blood on these Americans, what they call Americans' hand. How do you live on a land that wasn't yours in the first place, and all of a sudden, you through genocide, you own that land? What would you say? Try to appease your consciousness after you have murdered men, women, and children, and have taken them over. Is that the way things supposed to be? Do we go around doing the same thing, acquiring land by murder and theft, just like they did? Or how come they get to escape that? These are the things that the young people really think about, as well. How come they did that and they escape it? No retribution falling on them. They can murder with impunity, and when we murder, we go to jail. How do you make sense of all of that? I'm sure they're thinking about that. They're not stupid. That's in the back of their subconscious. So to pull a gun or to stab someone will be easy because the world's doing it. As far as they're concerned, they do it. The leaders do it. The people in charge do it in front of our face. Look at Palestine, for instance. Innocent men, women, and children obliterated just at a blink of an eye. Who cares? No one cares. So where's this morality coming? You're trying to tell us to be moral, yet the leaders are just as immoral and unjust, and yet we get the blame for doing that. They have a nice way of putting it. Murder, a nice way of putting murder. Take over land and steal land in an acceptable way. So how do we explain this to our children, even though they may not ask the question, but they look at us as being weak because morality is not running the world. You know what I mean? Love is not running the world. When we were young, we were talking about God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son and stuff like that. And we must love our enemies, and we must turn the other cheek, and we must forgive our enemies. And yeah, that would be an ideal situation if we all could do something like that. But would you tell your child to turn the other cheek if they're being bullied at school, or if somebody tried to molest them, or, would you tell your children to do this? This is kind of thing that confront us today. How do we explain what's happening to our children? Who's doing all this killing, looting, murdering? It's the people at the top who should know better, and they should live by example. But they're not living by example. They're telling us, they're showing us their greed. Oh, you can do that, but you can't do what we do. Do as I say, but don't do as we do. And how do we match all of this up together to say to our children, well, righteousness is the best way, honesty is the best policy, and they've been honest all their lives and they ain't getting nowhere through honesty. And you got a group of people telling us, oh, you get your reward when you die. We don't want no reward when we're dead. We want reward when we're alive. What's the point? If we got to die to await our reward, then it makes an ounce of sense. So we don't know where this is going to lead to. We have no idea. And this makes matters worse. We can only guess and hope that it won't affect us. But don't forget, I saw a thing on YouTube that Iran, some places in the Middle East can actually drop a nuclear bomb in UK from there. And I thought, whoa. And I thought straight away, be careful what you wish for, Heru. You may wish the downfall of a regime. They're looking to regime change Iran, Middle East. But what about here? What happens if a nuclear bomb drops right here in one sec, a nuclear bomb right here in UK? Huh? We could be walking on the street. I'm not trying to spread fear or anything, but we could be going about our business. If Trump carried out what he said he's going to do, we could be going about our business, and all of a sudden, bam, we're in heaven or we're in glory or hell, whatever the case may be. Yeah, it's not funny. It's not something that we would want to entertain in our thinking, but are we going to put it behind us? Are we vulnerable? And why does it always seem to be why is the world about war all the time? Why life has to be about war, death, doom, and gloom. Every day. You have the media, especially the BBC. I call them angels of doom. They're journalists, conduits of evil, spreading negativity around the world today, and reporting biasly on wars and stuff like that. And yet we have no choice but to listen. Who's leading the world? How come it's not righteousness that leads the world? We were told that righteousness is a thing. And how come it's not the case today? What happened to all them teachings of that we were told? I think we were sold a 6 for a 9, if you ask me, in terms of thinking about the world and thinking about situations. There is a need for a change in our thoughts, as I said yesterday, or are we just going to continue accepting the same way? Do we realize that there's a need for our thinking to change? I think it is. There is a need that we should change our thoughts, our thought patterns about ourselves, society, all the people's activity, love, law, war, and all these kind of things. We need to change our approach to that. We may not be able to change the world, but we can change how we personally feel about the world. I think that's the key thing for us. Otherwise, what's left? If we can't change the way we feel about a thing, then we're going to follow on endlessly in a spiral of death, doom, and gloom and destruction. I think the buck lies with us here in thinking about this. We might not be able to influence the politicians who are like what I call John Crow. You know John Crow? John Crow then, right? Feeding off dead meat. It's like a game for them. The millions of people that are here and doing what they're told, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, ended up on the bottom of the scale, paralyzed with fear. And if not thinking, they are thinking about something else, pretending that it's not there. You can't pretend all the time. And I think that there is a need for the black people to change their feelings and their thinkings. So this is why things are the way they are today. If there's going to be a change, then it's going to have to start with our mindset. As a man thinketh, so is he, and so goes his destiny. Now, I'm sure you don't really want to listen to me rabbit on. I'm sure you have something to say. If you have, then the numbers are 07826 11 55 and 43. And I repeat, 07826 11 55 and 43 will take you into the studios. Have your say. Let's see. I know it's what I notice about the black community. You never have nothing to say. What are you really thinking in terms of family, how you bring your youth up, how you were brought up. Do you think that you can administer the same way to your child? Are you bringing up your children the same way your parents brought you up? Or you think that it's not going to work? I'm not going to bring up my children that way. So how are you going to bring them up? How are you going to bring them up to feel about the situation that they're in? Are you going to let them pretend that it doesn't exist? Or are they going to be joining the status quo, those who are up there? They're going to get up there by bowing and licking their way through life. You know what I mean? I definitely don't want my child to brown nose his way, or their way, her way, their way through life. Because then that makes them a non-person. Can they rely on their culture? Do we have a culture? I don't know. Those that have been brought up in England, do they have a culture? They call it a Caribbean culture or whatever they want to call it. What about Africa? Those Africans that have been brought up here, do they see themselves as British? I look at the Conservative leader. Her stance is that she's not an African. She said that many times. I'm not an African. Look at her. Proper African. Features, hair, everything. Yet she can see herself as not being African. When she's asked to accept reparation of the act of slavery as one of the worst acts in history, she voted against it. What does that say? She voted against it. She didn't want the slavery to be seen as worse event like that. Do what she does. How does she get off with doing something like that? As far as she's concerned, she is not an African. Good. You can choose whatever stance you like, but where is this collective consciousness of black people? I don't think there's a collective consciousness of black people anymore. Where is the collective consciousness? You've got everybody doing their individual thing, feeling how they want to feel, and that's right. You can't stop that. Every man for himself. You have the right to choose to follow whatever you want to follow, but I don't think right now the black community is thinking in terms of collective consciousness. There isn't a collective consciousness of the black race anymore. There used to be. That's how we got great. But right now, it's fragmented. There isn't a consensus or anything like that on the way that we should behave. I wonder why. Will there ever be one? Maybe not this lifetime for some of us. Maybe for next lifetime. And that's one of the greatest things that we can realize as a group, our immortality, you see. If we cannot use the secular to rebuild the collective consciousness, then we have to use the spiritual to rebuild that collective consciousness that gave us the way we felt. And I pass plenty mosques, and I see quite a few people in there, and I don't know how it works in the mosque. Do they give money like every month, or because they can build whole heap of buildings, whole heap of mosques, and I know that these people contribute to the movement, and this is how to get things done. Where are we? What do we call ourselves? What do we call ourselves? I don't know. You call yourself Jamaican, Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean, or whatever label you want to give yourself. But are we doing what we need to do when it comes down to rebuilding the collective consciousness of the group? Now, I know that the collective consciousness is not there. That's why when we confront ourselves with these threats, wars, rumors of wars, it's not a biblical thing neither. But it's just that some people can ignore completely what they need to ignore in order to make what they want to come through. Because politicians, they're always at the top of the food chain when it comes down to living life. You see, they have nothing to worry about. And why is it that the poor and the needy have to suffer? And I can never understand this. I'm trying to understand this, Why is it always the poor and needy? And this with a parasitic social order that eats in on itself. If the price rises, go up at the source, then it's going to be placed on the individual, the lower class. Maybe we're still in the class system. Maybe we do and don't realize it. Maybe it's that what's been hidden. I remember Maggie Thatcher tried to hide the class system and said, "There's no class." And I said to myself, "What do you mean there's no class?" And she was able to make them hide the fact that they're a lower class, middle class, and upper class. And maybe that way, maybe it's still a class system that we inherited from other people. So we're at pains to understand wars. A man can just get up one day and decide he's going to make a war. And how many people back President Bush? Not Bush. Sorry, Donald Duck. How many people? And I hear that in Israel, 93% of the people agree with the son of Satan, Netanyahu, a nephew of Beelzebub, Netanyahu, to prosecute this war against Iran, against the Middle East, all because he wants Zionist policies to rule the Middle East, so-called. And 93% of the people back him. So you see, he's got backing. And it's the same thing in America. Is it Democrats? One of them people, I think it is, that backs Trump. Maybe the majority of Americans back Donald Trump to do what he's doing and to make these threats, whether they're empty or real. But he's got the backing of the people. So it's the people that supports all of these things. If the people, remember the French Revolution, huh? I know that British people don't like you to talk about the French Revolution because of what happened in the French Revolution. The rich became poor and the poor became rich. So they would probably like for us not to think too much on the French Revolution. But if there was a revolution like that, we'll be in a different position right now. If there was a true revolution in Britain, and it's said that the British will never have a revolution because they're so entrenched in their governmental behaviors that they will back their government to the T, to the death. So there won't be a revolution in Britain because the people ain't that way inclined. But the French were more or less fed up with the iron fist of their governments that they were willing to have a revolution. They did. The rich became poor and the poor became rich, and they killed all of the upper class. Completely obliterated them. Is that going to happen to Britain? Do you think it will? Are the people reaching a point where they're peed off? Every day of their life is going to be stress. And if you look at the social fabric of Western society, it's all about bills. Yeah, bills. Every day you get up, it's a bill. And the people accept that their life's like that. That's why they will accept the level of war and the obliteration of another civilization, that wouldn't bother them. If their leader did that, and I tell you, to be honest with you, I was kind of glad when Keir Starmer took the position he took, and I thought that gave him a step up in his character. He's lucky he took that, because then the other warmonger, Badenoch, and the other guy, what's his face? The one that the right wing guy, the other party. I don't keep these people party in my head, but he was another one that would have jumped 2 foot into war, would have allowed the son of Satan and nephew of Beelzebub, Netanyahu, to use all of our airspace to bomb Iran and such like that, and think nothing of it. But Keir Starmer, he's lucky, because I didn't think much of him, but he seems to be a bit level-headed more than he's not gun-ho like that Trump geezer. And then again, Trump is a rebel. I'm glad the WHO has been held back. They can't come up with no more viruses. Yeah, they can't come up with no viruses. They're held at bay. They would love to spring a virus right now to lock us down. And this is the thing. Why are these people allowed to do these things? Why is the poor and the dejected unable to have a say in how their lives are run in society? Even with this democracy, which is, as far as people are concerned, some people are concerned, it's a consultative dictatorship moral. This what do you call it? Democracy in Britain. Democracy over the Western world, or they claim to be a democracy, but it's a consultative dictatorship when you think about it. And I think Labour is looking more like a conservative party than when Wilson used to run, and other Labour leaders. It was about work. No more about that. They've gone more conservative, more right wing, more than the Conservatives. And this Farage guy, that's the name of the guy, Farage, trying to bring ultra right wing up in the midst of all of this. Yeah, in the midst of all of this. And where are the black people? Where are the poor and needy? Not only black, white as well, but it says the white race is above the poorest black. The poorest white is above the poorest black. So they're all right. They're cool. I'm not saying every white agrees with it. Maybe we don't need to split the colours up like that. Maybe not. But we're all human. Yes, we're all human. But look at the advantage that one has over another, and the inability for the black group to think collectively. They rather cut their own throats. You know what I mean? They rather be their own enemies, really. How do we get like that? I think it's this a syndrome called I forgot the name of it, but it's when you love your enemy. Stockholm, that's it, the Stockholm syndrome. I think we suffer a lot from that. We love our enemies more than ourselves because we're suffering from the Stockholm syndrome. Is it because we have not dealt with our trauma yet? Why are we like this? Do you see yourself at the bottom of the pile? Do you think that you are, as a race of people, at the bottom of the pile? Do you see yourself like that? Maybe you don't. Maybe you see yourself as okay. And as long as you toe the line, you'll be okay. Do you think that is the way forward? Do we capitulate, bow? Or do we become radical like our predecessors were and start to demand If we're not demanding, then we have to find a way where we can serve ourselves. Then, really, the idea is like a partner. You look at the partner situation that our parents organized, whereas we were paying ourselves. No tax, nothing like that. But you'd have to trust the partner, the person that run the partner. People bought houses through that economic um, upbringing, that the mentality in the 60s. I remember my mum was in a partner. We used to go and pay the partner, and they were able to feed their families through that, regardless of the society. I think that led to the Providence group. They must have been influenced by our creating this partner thing, that the Providence eventually came into being, where you could lend money and stuff like that. But we handled it. We handled it well. We were able to buy houses from this. And there are still partners going today. So it's not that we can't become collective, and it belongs to a collective consciousness that to do something like that. That shows we have the ability to do this. So what is it then? How are we seeing the trees for the woods right here? How are we featuring, looking at these things? How do we feel? As I said to you, this is the platform where you're able to come up, as I said, not only blacks, but disenchanted people of any race, black or white, or mulatto, any race you want to, any race you want to call yourself, you are still human, and it may be that the way that we've been treated can forge a unity amongst the peoples of the world. A society that doesn't care reigns supreme because we're unable to dismantle the mindset or the subconscious that's been erected by these people, how people see themselves. Very important. The upper class, lower class, maybe it is classism coming through a different window. Still, and no amount of religious ideology, because remember, it was the church and state that run things, that shared power between the two. The state and the church shared power. When the church got weak, then the state took over, and then when the state got weak, the church took over, and we've been hung between church and state for the longest of time. And it's only because we have no real understanding, and we don't guard our feelings. We sell ourselves short all the time as a group, as a human group, right? Societies fail us, policies fail us, governments fail us, and until people get really fed up, and then you have a revolution. Will we see a revolution in our time? Maybe not. Maybe not in this lifetime. But the wind of change is kind of blowing. I think, anyway, at least. What will the next generation be like? Well, I shudder to think. But I suppose you can say that they're equipped to deal with life as we were equipped. When our parents were, we thought our parents weren't doing as much as they should be doing, but we knew it, we handled it the best way we thought. Now it's our turn. Our children are thinking, well, you ain't handling a thing well here. You ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. So fine, because we can't see the trees for the woods, because we spend all our life trying to defend ourselves. My parents defended us, and even though when we came to Brixton in '62, I went to Cowley Primary School, the regime there was harsh, very harsh. We took on racism. Yeah. The whole school system was racist. I couldn't tell anybody that. Cowley Primary School now, and if I'm going to be taken to court for making that statement, let me go, because I can prove it. Because it happened to me. Personally. You understand? So, the whole system was geared around hatred of people. And we had to deal with that. We dealt with it very well. Brixton is a place where you won't never see a race war in Brixton. No. Because the people lived side by side. Whites lived beside blacks. And you can tell that because all you have to do is look at the Lovers Rock concerts in O2. Bare white people in there too. They grew up on Lovers Rock. They grew up on reggae. So there was a unity there that the government tried to exploit, but couldn't. So we're talking about harmony, unity here, in the same way that we can build unity, and we can build a collective consciousness, not only for black race, but for everyone else that's involved in the oppression of humanity. How long will God allow humanity to be oppressed in this way? I don't know. And I know it's difficult. It's getting harder every day to face reality and the manipulation of the masses that's happening every day in our face, and the media that goes hand in hand with it, makes one think. Yeah, greetings. You're live.
Greetings.
You're live. How you doing, sis?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Is this Heru, yeah?
Yeah, it's nice to hear from you. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Are we on ECR at the moment?
I think we are.
No, because I'm listening to you on the app here, and
yeah.
I've not heard me and you speak it, so there's obviously a delay in the app.
Okay.
But that's fine. Yeah, it's just a quick call anyway.
Yeah.
Just to say, welcome to ECR. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you've touched on a lot of topics, but with me, I don't really go down into politics because there's so many avenues. Yeah. I don't really go down into it, but I do like maybe from media, I see what's going on.
Yeah.
But to actually speak on it, I will leave it for people like you who can like get through it like eloquently, if that's the right word, right?
Yeah,
but just a quick one about the culture thing.
Yeah,
I am bursting my brains to try and understand or understand what is culture in this country here, the UK, where I born and grow, right? I also want to know, I'm not even asking you, I'm trying to understand that myself.
Yeah.
What is culture? Was it here before our people came over from the Caribbean, amongst the Caucasians?
Yeah.
Was it here? And what happened to their culture? Because I cannot really see a Caucasian culture for me to say, this is how they do their thing.
Yeah. For real.
The Caribbean side of it now, when our parents came here, because some of us was born here, and some of us obviously was born in Jamaica and come over here, like yourself, as I heard you said on the radio earlier on.
Yeah, man.
How was the culture, not asking you, but I'm just saying, how was the culture in the Caribbean to the point where they come to the UK and they came with some of that culture over here to the UK? So I grew up with some of that culture instilled in me, right? As in, I don't know, the food that we ate, the music that we listened to, the gatherings. Sometimes we would go to like, even our godparents' house, like every other Sunday, or, you know what I mean? Or we'll go to a relative's house on a Saturday, everybody would eat and drink, and the children then would play.
Yes.
I'm not really seeing that anymore in the UK here, right? And I'm wondering if it's because the Caribbean culture has been wilted or watered down to the point where I've got children now that was born here. Like their mother, who is me, I am British. Their father is British. And then I've got grandchildren now who can say they've got British grandparents. And we've kind of, I don't know if we've lost the essence of what our parents brought here, but I don't know if it's because we are embedded in the UK itself, why it's been watered down almost to nothing. Because I cannot feel any Caribbeanness about us anymore as people. As you said earlier on, and what did run in my mind about 4 or 5 hours ago, is that the question that you asked, do we even eat around the same table again as family?
For real.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes, I do see a lot of children, a lot of black children as well. I don't see Asian children pack up at the Kentucky shop waiting for chicken.
Yeah,
I even still white picnic round at the shop, them eng round like our children.
Yeah, that's a point. That's a point.
And I'm wondering, where are the parents of these black children? Where are they? What are they doing? Is there not dinner at home for these children to come home to? Well, the pocket money that they get was that specifically to go and buy some chicken in the shop. You don't even know if they're cleaning the chicken. You don't know what they're doing to the chicken because they're not giving it to their family. They're giving it to another race of people's children.
Well, you're not even sure whether it's chicken.
All right. Okay.
It could be something else.
It could be something else. It could be even pigeon, for all we know. Pigeon from off of the road, you know, because every you go on every high street, there's always a chicken shop.
Oh, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. There's kebab shops. There's a lot of takeaway shops out there. And I remember back in my days when I was growing up as a young child, my parents them used to cook food daily, right?
Yep.
Daily. We didn't go outside for food, but I know that we had fish and chips, like
on a
fish
Friday.
and chip shop.
Friday,
yeah, but it was all right.
Proper chips.
Proper chips, even though they used to put it in what do you call it? Newspaper. Wrap it up in newspaper.
Yeah, you remember them times, you?
All right. But what I'm saying back then, when I was like all 8 and 7 years old, I remember the fish and chip shop only had Caucasian people in there.
That's right. That's right.
I think there's a time when they had KFC, and that was just Caucasian people as well.
Yeah.
But back then, maybe like a Friday every other month, our elders would buy Kentucky for us, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yes, remember Friday night.
It was it was like a treat.
Yes, because a treat. That's exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know what happened. You don't really see Caucasians running any shops again, like in which part I come from in South London, like fish and chips or what have you. KFC, it's just Asian people now.
Yes.
Running them something there. I wouldn't say Asian man's running fish and chips, but they're dealing with the chicken side of it, you know?
Of course, yes.
The Kentucky and the Morleys and what have you.
But they're making a mint. They're making enough money out of us, you know.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Not to I'm not gonna leave out the hair shop as well.
Oh yeah, the nails and all that. Yeah, oh man.
The nails, the eyelashes,
Trust
everything.
me.
And I'm guilty because I go in there sometime. So I look for cream, all them something there. You know what I mean? But I do support black. There's a shop next to me, a guy called Basil, or a brother called Basil rather, and he sells, you know, things that is like, you know, beneficial to us, what we can still get in the Asian shop. The only thing, the Asian shop's a little bit cheaper. So I think that's where they kind of catch us out.
Yeah, all the time.
All right.
Yeah, for real.
So I would, you know what, I would still go and support black when I can. And if I can spend the extra change supporting black, I will do, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I still think me personally, I think the Caribbean culture is wilted down to nearly nothing right about now.
For real,
And
unfortunately.
I want to know what has caused that. Have we all become too comfortable in the West here? I want to know what's caused that.
Well, let's find it and see if anyone else has an opinion on that, and see whether they
Yes,
can
thank you.
enlighten
Because yes, I like the
knowledge.
talk show, and yeah, anyone, if I know one, call Ina, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
But Heru, big up yourself, my dear.
Thank you
Yes,
very much, sis.
you're doing a good job.
Bless
All
up.
right, bless up.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Yeah, there you have it, folks. Thank the sister there for calling in. The numbers are 07826 115543, and I repeat 07826 1155 and 43. Bring you into the studios. You're in tune to the Heru show. I ain't given it a proper name yet, but I may even call it the talk show. I'm going to be having a co-presenter with me sometime soon. So I'm just warming. This is my first Sunday show, and so looking to build on this. Bertrack, I see you call in there, but you called in when the sister was on. Feel free to call back. Yeah, 1 sec. You're live on this, ECR. I was going to say Galaxy.
I'm Berchak. I just want to highlight the country's religion is football. It's football, football, football.
Yeah.
It is a football and sports. Yeah, the country of Northern Ireland, all the things is football. And by the way, the kebabs were tasted back in '93. They were tasted like heaven. Now they got phosphates on the kebab.
What?
There's a lot of Turkish people that was in Germany, and they said, should we use phosphates or should we not in the kebab, or put it in and you know what our Turkish people did in Germany, which was very joke? They said nothing. They felt silent. Now, do you know that in any kebab shop that you go to, when you order from these things, I'm not naming no names. I want to backlash. I said, the other guy does it fresh and hot and boiling. Yeah, this man bought the kebab. It was cold. Yeah, and apart from the other thing, if you watch Back to the Future, back in the back year, I saw there was a bright morning. The man went to the other side, and when he came out, he saw a dark sky. That film there, I didn't understand. Now it's so effective. It affected my mind. What they do with food, what they do with music, what they genetically injecting people, and what they're doing with every single thing. Yeah, it's very, very bad. It's evil. Yeah, and I never knew this, and nobody seems to stand up. Yeah, and when it's standing up, or God forbid, right happens, I will be affected in this. And I'm a disabled man. I'll leave it there, but remember, I like what the sister had said. It got new of her, but I will say this again: this country's religion is football, and all the UK. All right, I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Bertrand. Enough respect. Thank you very much for that. You're in tune to the Heru show and ECR, the station, the growing station. Southeast, we're over the southeast here, over the river, southwest, not southeast, southwest London. So as the sister was saying, the culture seems to be watered down, and we're fast becoming a non-entity. Our children after us, if we have not grown them properly, as your sister said, things are, she can't understand the culture. And this is the thing. What is a culture? What is our culture, whose children are from the Caribbeans and from Africa? And mind you, Africans been here longer than we thought, Don't think that the black African would just come the other day. The African has been here from the 14th century. And if you want to be technical, we've been here from 40,000 years ago. The Grimaldi man. Those who do study their anthropology would know that the Grimaldi exited Africa 40,000 years ago to come to Europe. And even the name Europe is an African Igbo god. Check that out. Even the very name Europa. If you read the Black Athena by Bernard, I think it's Bernard or something, he wrote in the Black Athena the real name of the god. Even Gibraltar is an African god. So don't think that Africans or black people just come here. In actual fact, the first Homo sapien in Europe was a black man. They called him a cheddar man. So we've been given a 6 for a 9 in many situations that we need to unpack and unfold for us to have a fuller understanding. It goes further than just Caribbean, further than slavery. The true nobles of Europe were black. How about that? I'm not trying to prove anything being black, but I'm just saying that the collective consciousness of the group has been withered away. And that's why we suffer in the way we do. We have been halted when it comes down to people's activity. People in charge of the society, the movers and shakers of Western society, have made it in such a way that we can't see the trees for the woods. Maybe if we were able to do that, then we would have been better placed to function as a element in society with their overstanding their minds ready to pass on the truth to their children so their children can make a headway in life. I think we were caught up with working out how our parents brought us up and what we were not going to do. We weren't going to bring our children up in the same way, same fashion as our parents brought us up. We ain't going to beat them. No. Sorry, but I think beatings now is another thing still. I know that many of us suffered in the sense of the word with that. But I do hope that we are able to decipher. One sec. We are able to decipher. A bit of a cough there, sorry. Whoa, I think my throat's a bit dry. But we're able to decipher and to bring into fruition the ideologies that will free us, free our thinking. Don't let us rely on wayward social structures that keep us as slaves. And this is what the thing is. How long will we be kept down? How long will the poor suffer? How long will the disadvantage be taken of how long will we be under the cosh and not being able to free ourselves psychologically? That's the thing, as the sister said. As the sister says, how long are we going to suffer? How long are we going to be impaired? How long? This is the question that needs to be asked. When will we rise to the challenge? When will society, as it was in the beginning, become the bastion of human elevation in expressing themselves properly? Societies were like that. And who were the creators of these just societies? We don't know. We checked it out. at least I checked it out, the first humans on the earth were the Twa, pygmies, Twa. They were the ones that created the first just society. You read The Civilization and Barbarism, or Barbarism by Sheikh Anta Diop, will give you a good insight into the Twa. Sheikh Anta Diop, a very esteemed anthropologist, a French one at that, and he was married to a Caucasoid. But you see, we're not trying to make war between races here. We're just trying to show you when humans that are clued up proper. But for the black people here, we have lost, we've dropped the baton somewhere along the way. The blacks of the 21st century are not the revolutionary blacks of the past, you see, and this is the reason why we are in the position that we're in today. Time now is fast approaching 1944. You know what is it? 24 minutes to 8. And soon we're finishing at 8. So if you want to get a quick one in before we go, you can call us on 07826 11 55 43, and I repeat 07826 11 54 and 43. Right up to Sister Ahura, if you're listening. We're waiting to hear your dulcet tones on the air. And rise up to Marley over there in Derby, my brethren for so many years. Again, condolences to the Hearst family. Rise up to the Hearst family. And rise up to all those that know me. I know you. It's a pleasure. If you're listening in, let us know. And you're in tune to ECR radio. And you're in tune to Heru. I haven't given it a name yet. As I said, this is my second time on air, second time on ECR. So we're going to be more structured. I'm going to have guests, and I'm going to have co-presenters working with me soon. But I just want to test the ground, you know what I mean? And if right up to Lioness, if you're listening, to Sis Dion out there somewhere, I hope, in the neck of the woods. Yeah. And the rest of the family, so say Genesis family, D-Row, bless up if you're listening, and of course the Galaxy family if you're listening there too, and my blood cousin Queenie, Queen Tahutu, and of course my other cousin Makeda, and the rest of the Whitaker family out there, and the Cross family. Rise up to all of you, and let's hope we can come to some consensus, and at least we can help ourselves out of the quagmire of mysteries that have been cast upon us, the spell that has been cast. Did you know that the European language is a spell? Yeah, spell. That's right. And everything is worded to trap our minds into thinking. That's why we have to get to a place where we begin to take on these things. If we don't take on these things and begin to relegate these things from that position, the rest of the things is going to be difficult to change. So the first thing that we need to change, and we've got to see this together, is our thinking. We need to change. We may not be able to change the situation of the governments and whatever, but we can change our response to it. So if you listen to my show on Saturdays, we were dealing more about that. Developing the skills to change the things we can't change, but the things we can. And I know we can change the way we feel about things. And that's what the Metanuta is all about. Not changing the world, but changing the way we feel and think about the world. That's the great ability. So if you tune in on Saturdays from 12 till 3, that will be based mainly on that. And on a Sunday, I don't want you to be just listening to me rabbiting on, but I'd love for you to have an interaction with us on a Sunday. So as we go on, we hope to build that repertoire between us. And thank you for all of those that have called in and all of you that are listening. Time now is 19:49, nearly 10 to 7 and 8, sorry, 10 to 8. And we'll be finishing soon. And it's been a pleasure, truly. Just warming in, just touching base like that. The last time I was on the air was, God knows, it's a long time. As I said, there's only one man can draw me out of retirement. Mr. Lacey did that, and I hope he hasn't regretted it yet. But yeah, we're going to be touching base more. We're going to be dealing with things. We're going to develop the ability to repair. It's not just a talk show. We're looking ways and means that we can develop and give ourselves the answers, like the sister said. What happened to the community that she knew? She said she's got children herself, and I'm sure she sounds like she brought them up in the way that she was brought up. We don't eat round the family table anymore. It's cheap to go and buy a box of chicken and chips than to cook for the family. And I think possibly it's the lifestyle has changed where there isn't a mother and father in most children's lives. There is a one-parent thing going on where the sole mother or sole father, they've managed to break that unity. I'm glad that I absorbed plenty of that. I remember Sundays, we had a full session on the table, jello, ice cream, soursop. Wow. Our parents produced those things. Now, you're in the front room or in your bedroom around the phone or the laptop, chewing, and it's a madness. You know what I mean? I feel sorry for the next generation. I only hope they can pull themselves out of the nosedive into depravity and to build themselves up and set their children on the straight and narrow to develop a collective consciousness that we can share. And I only hope that we will be able to do this as time goes on. Time is the master. Time is longer than rope. Take it for a joke. Remember that song? So, we're given time. We should be able to repair the damage. That's what this show is all really about, It's not just about a chat thing. I'm hoping that we will develop the skills to repair the collective consciousness of the black group, of any group, whether black or white. It would be nice if we had a unity, black, white, Indian, Chinese, whatever, that come together, tired and fed up of the rubbish that's going on today in society. Fed up of it. Greedy men and women. It always does my inside to think, God, why are these people allowed to do what they're doing to us? Where is God? And I know they make a load of excuses for God, but I'm not about to make no excuse for the Almighty. No, I'm not going to do that. Let it, or him, if you like, or even her, make its own decision and to whether to bring us out of this. Is there ever going to be any happiness in the world? Is there any happiness in the world? I don't know. Where's all the happiness gone? The laughter and joy? Or is this a place that's not meant to have joy? Are we in a place where all these other things abound rather than the happiness, and the love and peace and love. Is this a place for that? Or do we have to die before we can arrive at such a place? But I know that our predecessors and ancestors left us the key. We just got to find the lock for the key so that we can endure and survive. Maybe, and next time, next lifetime, when we come back. I know some of you don't really believe that. I'm saying, nah, ain't bothering all them talk, Heru. We'll come back with your life. When you're dead, you're dead. There are people like that. People believe that. There's nothing wrong with that. You can believe anything you like, you know. Feel free. If you need a God, then you can have one. If you need salvation, you can have one if you want it. If you need to be admonished daily, you can choose to do that. But if you know that you're divine, you can have that also. A divinity. And I'm trying to, the element that deals with divine intelligence, that rules, that governs our physiology. And I know, that's the way I know that the divine intelligence is alive and kicking inside of you and me, governing our physiology, governing our thinking. And tonight, it will take you, you may think that you're sleeping, but you could be awake. You're asleep now. How about that? Not mean to confuse you, but this is the level that we will be dealing with on the Saturday show. You may think that you're asleep now, awake now, but you could be well asleep. And when we die, we wake up. We're dead now. You see? They've managed to reverse the psychology on us, what we used to do, and we're trying to replace and reorientate the thinking. Yeah, we look forward to such interaction again next Saturday between the hours of 12 till 3 p.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and again on Sunday between the hours of 6 and 8. Well, it's been a long evening for me, and I'd like to say it's been a pleasure, a privilege to interact with you, the ECR family, and I hope we'll be having more of this interaction. And to the chat room, to the ECR DJs thingy, WhatsApp group. Thank you and big up. And this is Heru saying, I